I've hired 107 people for digital businesses, and every time a hire doesn't work out, we always ask the same question. Were there any subtle warning signs early on so we don't waste 30 hours teaching them about our business, only to fire them and start the whole process over again? The short answer is yes. And so in this video, you're going to learn the 7 subtle signs of things to look for in their first few days that'll tell you it's time to start looking for their replacement. This way, you'll get the perfect candidate in your business before you need to make an emergency hire. Learning these red flags have given us a 93% success rate recruiting for our clients, and so just steal these lessons so you can hire better than your peers too. Let's get into it. It feels good when your team nods their head and agrees with you and says they get it, but you just may not realize that when they agree, they're actually hiding the real problem. You see, last year, Mr. Beast leaked how he runs his 430 million subscriber YouTube channel. He uses one principle called the Persian messenger problem. He stole it from the movie 300, where the main character, his name's King Leonidas, gets his bad news from a Persian messenger. And so he kicks the messenger down the well to his death. And so this same problem means your team is afraid of sharing bad news and getting kicked to their death too, or in this case, being fired. And so some cultures think that disagreeing with you or saying they don't understand you is the equivalent of bad news. And this was a huge shock for me when I started hiring. I just thought disagreeing was effective teamwork. And so instead of getting kicked down the well, your team will just nod in agreement. You're going to need to reward your team for finding problems. You got to teach them that finding problems are a positive. Or you could steal his phrase from Mr. Beast, the only news that can wait is good news. If someone lies to you, they're going to do it in a small way first. So, quick story. I had an account manager who loved telling us about her weekends, but then after a few weeks, she just slowly switched to giving me one-word answers. And I thought the change was strange, but I mean, some people like to keep personal and professional lives separate. Makes sense. But then I started to see her send client emails at 4 a.m. And so I assumed she was in Europe because of the time zone difference. So I asked her about it, and her response actually surprised me. I mean, it was an obvious lie because she told me she was using a VPN from Europe. And so in that moment, I realized that her avoiding small talk was just a trick that she used so she wouldn't mess up her story since she actually moved to Europe. And so that might seem small, but we had to fire her a few weeks later. So I got this text from a client saying she made a mistake with him and then she got caught lying to cover it up. So don't make the same mistake I did. Here's what I learned. Sometimes avoiding small talk can actually be trying to hide something from you. Things like secretly having a second job, or lying to customers, or lying about their location. If you catch someone lying on something small, they're gonna lie again later on something big. Imagine you're building a house and you're trying to tell your builder what kind of house you want. Now, before you can explain how many bedrooms you want, he asks you if you'd rather him use a handsaw or a power saw. That feels kind of weird, doesn't it? It's like he doesn't even understand what rooms he needs to make yet. So you assume he's just not listening. And he just wants to rush to get the job done and get paid. And so do you feel confident you're actually going to get the house you want? It's the same with your overseas hire. And so if you're explaining how you want customers to feel and they cut you off with hey, where's this script I copy paste from? That's a red flag. And so if they don't understand the why behind what they're doing, it'll break the second you give them anything outside the script you designed for them. And so you're going to end up babysitting them instead of building your business. And so don't let them hide behind tools and tactics. The next time you give them instructions, make sure they repeat back the big picture in their own words. Make it an open-ended question, not a yes or no. That's how you know that they understand it. And so if your hire has no interest in the big picture, you're going to spend more time hand-holding them than building the business. When someone avoids being on camera in meetings, they're usually also avoiding something else too. I'll give you an example. So I'm fully nomadic. I live entirely out of a backpack, and I travel around building my businesses from coworks. I'm in this cowork now in Bulgaria, and I look around the cowork and I see about 40 remote workers. The ones in meetings with their cameras on are paying attention, but the ones without cameras are on Instagram. Or worse, they have their second laptop and they're working for their other employer. Now, I'm not saying everyone turn their camera on. The camera off is a symptom of them being engaged. It's not the problem itself. I mean, Zoom fatigue is a real thing, but pay attention to the frequency, how often it happens. If their camera is off anytime it's optional, it's a sign that they're using it to hide something else too, like being on Instagram or replying to Slacks from another employer. Now, don't obsess over forcing cameras on. Just see it as an early warning sign. If they rarely show up on screen, chances are they're not really showing up for you at all. Some people solve problems, others create them. Once I hired this customer success manager who kept telling us about all these new crises she had in her personal life. Now, I'm not going to go into details on her personal life, but it felt like these situations that most people would just see as annoying. And she turned them into panic attacks. Now, I actually care a lot about my people, and so I think a lot about building an environment that people love to work in. So my philosophy is I assume the best in people. And 9 times out of 10, you're right. But this was a 1 out of 10 time. So she was late to her 4th meeting in 2 weeks, and my head of delivery gave me a look that basically said, Brian, fix this now. And so each excuse she gave sounded legit, but when it happens that often, we start to lose trust. And so I let these excuses go because I thought they were all valid. But I heard Layla Hormozi share this phrase that changed my mind on this. It's that all feelings are valid, all behaviors are not. And so I had to do a cultural reset with this person. So we stopped talking about her feelings and we started focusing on outcomes. I actually made her a performance tracker where we used KPIs like missed deadlines as the performance indicators. And so after that, she stopped using her personal life as excuses for missed deadlines. And so we ended up keeping her, but it was actually this next red flag that we got rid of her for. Does your hire keep saying everything's good, but you keep finding these problems that they should have spotted weeks ago? I mean, imagine you hire a security guard to patrol your lobby, and he hears this loud crash from the parking lot, but he doesn't check it out because the parking lot's not in his job description. I mean, sure, this guard's technically doing his job, but he's ignoring these obvious problems that would save you thousands of dollars in stolen equipment. And so if your hire is like that security guard, that's a huge red flag because they think that finding problems means it's more work for them, so they put on these blinders and just do only what's on their task list. But the best hires know that finding problems early is 1,000 times better for your business, which means it makes their life better in the long run. So make it a part of their performance to report and solve these problems, and make it a performance issue if they can't find anything. Does your hire keep saying tasks will be done soon, but never give you an actual timeline? It's kind of like having this friend who keeps telling you that they want to lose weight, but they refuse to step on a scale. And so they can tell you that they feel thinner and point to these like little changes in the mirror, but without the scale, they can sneak off and have pizza every night and just tell you stories about how they're making progress. That scale forces honesty and accountability, and you just can't hide behind numbers. Your time estimates are that scale. Let me give you a specific example of like what happened to us. So a few months ago, we had someone making Facebook ads. She wouldn't give us a time frame for how long it would take to make our ads. And so when I pushed her for a timeline, she said 3 to 4 days for something that should have taken 3 to 4 hours. Now that seemed insane to me. And so I asked her to explain, hey, where's this time going? She ended up getting defensive and gave me vague answers like this stuff takes time, which was a huge red flag. And so this went on for 2 weeks until I finally confronted her. And she admitted she was working another full-time job. So we were paying her for 40 hours and she barely gave us 10. So I found her replacement in 2 weeks. Now, I learned to ask for a deadline on everything. It feels uncomfortable at first, but helps everyone involved. Like, get your hire to agree to a time estimate for all their tasks. And now, if their time estimate seems outrageous, find out why. You're either going to be surprised or you'll help them solve a bottleneck. In this video, you learn the 7 warning signs to alert you that you might need to start looking for a replacement. So this way, you don't have to make an emergency hire. Now, these mistakes could be avoided if you'd seen these flags before. Now, if you're worried that you might need to replace one of your contractors, go to the description below to book a call with myself or one of my team members. I'll see you in the next one.